2023 presidential Republican debate happened last week, and it was very interesting to watch. Lots of good things were said. I wanted to chit-chat about that this week, and so I rewatched it with you, and I'm talking about different subjects that sparked my interest. So my opinion is not the only opinion. It's not necessarily the right opinion. So if you're listening to this and you do agree or don't agree, that's okay. I just think it's fun to listen and just fun to hear about all the different topics that they're talking about. So please enjoy, and we'll see you on the other side. Hello. Welcome back to Georgia D. Come Talk with me. I am really excited about today's podcast. I don't know if I'm excited. It was interesting. That's what I should say. I was really excited when I watched the debate last night. And it was really interesting and really good and cool to hear all the things that they want to do and hear their perspectives of the Republican debate, the first Republican debate of 2023. And I really like what a lot of people had to say. It was really good. It was really interesting. So at first, when my husband wanted to watch it, I was like, we probably should. I didn't really want to watch it, but in the end, I'm really glad that I did. I'm glad we took the time, and by the end, I was like hook, line, and sinker. I was completely captivated by everything they were saying, and I was interested, and I was getting goosebumps here and there, and just pumped about what's to come and what all the plans that they have for our country. And I don't know if it's 100% sure, but it was cool to hear that one of these men and women were going to, or could potentially be, a president of ours in the future. So I don't know. I mean, before I get into anything, I want to put out first, my opinions are not the end-all, be-all, and I don't know everything when it comes to all of these topics. I have opinions with the scope of my understanding and knowledge with where I'm at right now, and it's always changing and always growing, and I'm open to different thoughts and perspectives and opinions, totally, so please DM me. But I with what I know now and what I believe now and what I understand, I'm gonna share some opinions of the debate and things that I thought were really good, things I was like, whatever. I'm actually going to rewatch it while I go through the podcast. So I'm going to watch it and then bring up a topic or a question that was said, and then I'm going to just talk about it and what I'm thinking. And I don't know, I think it's a really interesting topic. I'd love to hear what you have to say, so please message me or DM me on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, whatever, wherever you're seeing this. And yeah, please rate the podcast. But let's just get into it. I just want to reiterate, my opinion is not the end all be all, and I don't really know a whole lot about each topic, but I'm just speaking from what I understand and where I'm at right now. So yeah, I don't know, I just find it interesting. So let's get started. One of the commentators said, how do you think, how will it go for the other nominees, considering Donald Trump has such a grip on the polls or the running of the race already when he's not even there. I thought that was so interesting. Like, people just think that he has this grip on the race already, which is really high in the polls. But yeah, he wasn't even there. He didn't show up because he's like, you guys deal with the debate. I'm not even going to be there. I'll wait till the real stuff or more important things come in, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if I have a comment on it. He's just funny like that, I guess. So DeSantis's opening statement, he talks about a few things, the things that stood out to me. He talks about, the gas prices being too high, and that will be energy dominant once again. Where when Trump was in office, the gas prices were super low, and then as soon as, I forget his name, I'm just kidding, Biden gets into office, the gas prices are like crazy high. I don't know if that's because of China. I don't know. But he's doing something different than what Trump did before him, and we all pay for it. So, I don't know. I liked his opening statement. Yeah. One thing I find that's really interesting is the way that they are positioned. Like, Governor DeSantis is in the very middle, but if Trump was here, he would be in the middle because he's higher in the polls. And then they're kind of flagged, like staggered out based on their standing in the polls, like going outwards, fanning out from them, the person in the middle. And the person in the middle gets the most to say. And the people on the sides get less and less as it goes out. I found that really interesting. I guess I didn't know that. Caleb had to explain that to me, but I found it really interesting. Don't know if you knew it. If you did, amazing, but I did not, and it was really, it's just interesting the way that they do it, and then the people on the outside don't get as much to say, and they don't get opportunities. They get a lot less to speak, whereas the person in the middle gets like the most. They get like, as soon as they ask a question, they ask the person in the middle, and they kind of go out. Sometimes they'll ask other people on the sides, they try to, but mostly the person in the middle and the two sides kind of get the most. Kind of like make it take it in basketball. Like, you're on top, so you get to keep going, and it's harder for like the people on the sides to like kind of get their 2 cents in. Yeah. Strange, I guess, the way they do that. But it is what it is. Okay. The Rashwarma, I don't know how to say his name. He was talking about how the mediator was saying, what are you doing here? You're like a blank slate, blah, 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 to everybody. Who are you? What's going on? Everybody else is a politician that was on the stage. And he was like, I'm here to change the way that we do things. I'm a businessman. He founded multi-million-dollar companies. And I mean, honestly, we need a business person in office. And that's how Trump did so well when he was there, because he was a businessman. You know what I mean? He's not a politician normally. So I really think a businessman that's founded multi-million-dollar companies could do a good job and get our country out of debt, or do lots of amazing things. So that was really fun to hear him, and he gets people fired up about doing good things for our country. So, I mean, he was fun to listen to immediately. Yeah, next. It was kind of interesting. Nikki Haley, I think her name is. She talked about how the Republicans have asked for like $7 trillion in and got us in $7 trillion of debt during COVID and several other situations. Sorry, I'm like really cold because I had oat milk, like just oat milk, like cold oat milk, and all of a sudden I'm like freezing. I don't know. Don't ask me why or how. But anyway, so Nikki Haley started talking about how the Republicans have actually spent, like, they spent $7 trillion in the last few decades, I guess. And the Democrats only spent like 2 or 3 trillion. So she was saying, like, that people aren't telling us the truth, that who was the big spender here, like, we need to stop doing this, we need to cut, we need to get our country out of debt. And I think that's really, really good, and that's really, really cool. We definitely need to get our country out of debt, for sure. That would be a huge thing, because she's like, our kids are never going to forgive us for this, because it's like tax dollars. When they gave us the COVID stimulus, then that's tax dollars that is being sent back out to the people, not like it's not money to be given. So anyways, I guess I already knew that the stimulus was not to be given anyways. I was annoyed by it in general, but you know, it was cool. She was talking about getting rid of debt. I love that. Bro. Okay, so Pence was talking about getting rid of debt, and because he wanted to comment on, they were talking about the debt of the U.S. and how Nikki Haley just commented on how, like, the the Trump Pence administration like got us into debt, and so Pence wanted to comment on it, and Pence talked about how, like, he's personally going to get us back on track and get us out of debt. And then Vivek wanted to comment on it, and Vivek was saying how it's not that simple. Basically, get people jobs and then keep them back and it's circulating. I don't know. I just was listening to what he's saying, and I'm like, dude, this guy's going to be president. He's so confident. He's so, like, I just think this generation is going to vote for Vivek. I don't know if he is the best right now. I don't know. I don't know. But I just am listening to what he's saying, and I'm like, dude, this guy is going to go so far. Like, people, this guy is amazing. This guy's awesome. But I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm like, dude, I'm actually thinking, like, this guy's going to go super far. I want to say he's going to become president, but I think he's going to jump in the polls at the next debate. You know, mark my words, but I could be wrong, but I really don't think so. Crazy. Like, it's just fun listening to him. He's going to do something big. Okay, so I just realized when I'm looking, they did like a pull-out shot, and DeSantis is in the middle. So Trump would have been in the middle, and then DeSantis. But I'm not sure if Pence would be in the next or Vivek, because it's like right now without Trump there, it's DeSantis in the middle, and then Pence and on one side and Vivek on the other. So, like, these are the top 3 dogs behind Trump, which is super interesting to see where they all stand. So I'm wondering if Vivek is 4th and Pence is 3rd and DeSantis is 2nd. I honestly wish that our governor of South Dakota, Kristi Noem, would have ran. That would have been really, really cool to see. Okay, anyways, next. Okay, so Pence just threw this crazy, like, diss at Vivek, and he goes, now is not the time for on-the-job training. Oh, goodness. So embarrassing. But, I mean, Vivek has to learn at some point. But crazy. I don't know. I just was like, what? Everybody was like, ooh, in the crowd. So funny. There was a guy, so they were asking like if everybody was bought and paid for, because that's what Vivek said, that everybody but him was bought and paid for. And so this other guy, they didn't say his name, but he said came from a single parent home, and that basically like we should bring our jobs home from China. And I totally agree. It would make things more expensive, unfortunately, but it would help our own country rather than putting money in China's pocket, which it's a good thing to keep it in our country. And yeah, things are more expensive, but if we all do it, it'll be worth it than buying things from China. Okay, so Christy Halley starts talking about, they asked the question to her because she's a woman about the abortion ban in America, and she was talking about how it's been put in the hands of the people right now, but they're talking about maybe doing a federal ban in the US. And she goes on to say, can't we all agree that like wait, let me look at it one more time. Hold on. Okay, she said, let's just focus on what we, consensus, what we can all agree on. Can't we all agree on late-term abortions? Meaning late, like when people are waiting their term, like 20, 30 weeks, 40 weeks, those should be banned. Can't we all agree to increase abortion, can't we all agree to agree on adoption, helping adoption rates? Can't we all agree on one more? Well, hold on. She says a lot. Okay, she talks about, can't we all agree that doctors and nurses that do not agree with abortion in general should not have to perform? Can't we all agree that contraception should be available? And the last thing she said was, can't we all agree that we should not put a woman in jail or have the death sentence because she got an abortion? And I think that all of those, I think everybody can agree, Republican or Democrat, that those things should be able to be agreed upon, because that just only makes sense. Late terms should be gone. That should not be available. The adoption should be more available. Contraception should be available. Doctors and nurses that don't want to perform should not have to perform. And a woman should not be given the death sentence or put in jail if she gets an abortion. And then there was one other one. Okay, that was it. That was all that she said. But I like that that she's coming to a conclusion where I think both sides can agree on. I think that's really, really awesome. Excuse me. And I think it's good to find consensus on this matter specifically, where there can be laws to protect women, and also that that they can find that there could be a consensus between the houses. I think it would be really, really good and helpful, and then it just eliminates that division on that topic. If there can be at least a few things that both sides can agree on. I really don't agree with any form of abortion, but it was cool to see that Governor DeSantis did sign the heartbeat bill, saying that after 6 weeks you cannot abort a baby. I think that's really, really amazing, really exciting, really cool. I know that happened a long time ago, but he was talking about it just now, and I really appreciate that. I think it's a really good thing, and it is crazy that Democrats are actually trying to allow abortions all the way up till full term, like up till birth. That is, like, you cannot disagree and say that is not actual murder, because you actually have a real live baby in your womb. Like, that's straight up murder. That's crazy. And I pray to God that that never is allowed in our country. Like, the rest of the world would not allow that. I mean, it's not up to the world, but like the rest of the world does not agree with that and would not allow that. So I don't understand why we randomly think that that's okay to murder a child that is alive in your womb. That is absolutely absurd and wrong and not the Lord. That is demonic, straight up demonic. I don't care what anyone says, that's demonic. And it's crazy to think that that is something that's trying to be passed in our world. And the Lord, I can't imagine what he would think about that or thinks about that, but it's not happening right now, and I just pray that it will never happen in our country. Okay, so Pence said, he's not new to this after DeSantis said something, what he said about abortion, and Pence was saying, we don't need a consensus to Nikki Haley or whatever. Her response about everybody just can't we agree on these few things? He was like, we don't need a consensus. That's the opposite of leadership. And he said, but then he just right after that, he goes, can't we agree that a 15-week ban, like both Democrat and Republicans, can't we agree that when a baby can feel, that's when the line needs to be drawn? And he's saying at 15 weeks, that line needs to be drawn, which is interesting. It's just an interesting time. I definitely don't agree. I think there's never a right time to have an abortion, flat out. There's no question. It's not okay to murder somebody. And, so, I don't know. It's just interesting that they're all against abortion, which is interesting, which is good. But they all have, their line, It's just, yeah. There just needs to be somebody that's no abortion ever is okay. But I do agree, it's not really up to the government to decide, what am I trying to say? I don't feel like it's the government's job to tell people if they can or can't. Maybe to make it's not legal. I would say, no, it is up to the government. What am I saying? You can't murder somebody. It's not allowed to murder somebody. So in this case for me, I think maybe with DeSantis, when he's saying the 6 weeks ban, because it's an alive baby. It's a baby that has a heartbeat. And because you have to put a line somewhere, I suppose. The earliest you can ever put I would just say right at conception, you just can't, when you find out you're pregnant, you can't have an abortion, It's hard because I think the government should be in line with the Constitution, and that's it. And originally there was no law, about abortion. So therefore it's just an interesting situation because originally our government was not in charge of that, which is good, because I don't really believe that the government should be meddling in people's personal lives in general. I think they need to just stick to guarding our country, the right to bear arms, the right to freedom of speech, these kinds of things. So that's, for me, it's hard of where to draw the line, where, and it's also hard to try to control people or try to put people in jail because of a personal decision. One, they decided to have sex out of wedlock, or two, they decided to have sex. Usually people that are married, I feel don't often get an abortion. I mean, maybe I don't know, but I feel like it's more people that are not married, or a single person or a single person, like their marital status is not marriage. So again, these people should not be having sex in the first place. And again, there are different cases where there's rape or all those other things, and I understand that. But I just don't believe it's okay to murder someone. So, yeah, that's just hard. It's just hard because I don't really know if there's like a perfect scenario, because abortion in general I don't think is right. So it's just never okay. But unfortunately, it's almost like there has to be a line in a way. And maybe I haven't thought, there's something out there that I just haven't thought of on this topic. Like there's a different solution. But I wish there was just, it was never invented that you could kill a baby inside your womb. I just wish that was never invented in general. And, yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. So I would probably have to go with DeSantis's, where like the heartbeat bill, the 6 week thing, because there's a heartbeat at 6 weeks. So you're killing somebody that the Lord formed in someone's womb. The Bible says, I knew you in your mother's womb, and I formed you in your mother's womb. So the Lord put this person together, and you're going to pretend to play God and kill that person that God created inside you. And you consented, to have sex. So, yeah, I mean, and with the things about abortion, the situation about abortion, again, the Lord knows this person, and this is still a person. It doesn't give the person that, like the woman, the right to kill somebody else that doesn't have the right to say anything else. So, yeah, it's just hard. It's a hard situation because there's a lot of variables. I understand, but it's still never right. And two wrongs don't make a right. And it's just, if something weird happened to you, or bad, or like it's stuck in the fallopian tube, or it's just never okay. It's just never okay. I don't know. So anyways, that's all I have to say about that. Next. Okay, so the governor of North Dakota said that this should be left in the hands of the people, in the hands of the states. And the states get to decide where the abortion line is, where you can have an abortion. And there's like 5 states in the U.S. that let people have an abortion up to the due date, up to the date of birth. They can still have an abortion. And so, which is completely demonic. I don't know how else to explain this except the devil created this, and states are going along with it. And so, it makes my heart burn. Like, that's so horrible. I can't explain how stupid that is. But so this governor of North Dakota, which I believe North Dakota is a red state, he said that we need to, where it is, like Roe v. Wade was overturned a while ago, and he said, it got back to the states where it should be, so each state should decide. And again, he said it shouldn't be in the a federal ban of abortion, because we need to get back to the Constitution. And honestly, I do agree with that. Like, I think I agree that it should be in the hands of the people, the government is not in a position to meddle in people's lives. And honestly, people that are going to do this, I shouldn't say need, because I don't agree with it, and I don't think people ever need to get an abortion. It doesn't matter the situation. What was I going to say? there should never be, I don't agree with the way that those states that do the birth, like any abortions, but it needs to be in the hands of the people, because if people are going to do it, they're going to do it whether it's legal or illegal anyways, and it's not up to the government to decide people's lives. And it's just not, they don't need, that's not what the government's job is. The government's job is what the Constitution says, and he was talking about that, how there's no, that's not part of the Constitution. And so I feel like I agree with that, because it's not a place for the government to decide everybody else's lives. It's just not. And what people decide is their own business. If they decide to get an abortion, that's their decision, and they have to live with that the rest of their life, and face and go to God on behalf of killing somebody. So they have to deal with that penalty, and that situation. So that's really not the government's job. It's the Lord's job to convict and to just, the only thing we can do in that situation is pray. And literally, I really think that it's not the government's job to decide. So where the line should be, it should be in the state's hands, I guess, the hands of the people, which means the people that vote elect the person that they want for that, I don't know. It's hard. It's really hard. You know what's crazy? Nikki Haley said, she's the female candidate. She said, I wish that the media would ask Kamala and Biden, are they for 38 weeks? Are they for 39 weeks? Because the liberal candidates want to be able to have abortions up till birth, which is crazy. And I think maybe the liberal media does not cover that. They don't say that to their people, they just don't say that to their people. They don't say, I'm for 38 weeks, and I'm for having an abortion up till the full term. Maybe they just don't even say it at all. I think that's so crazy, and I feel like if they did say that, then I can't imagine. Yeah, I just can't imagine, how people would be like, yeah, this is a full-grown baby, and I want to kill it. I just don't know how that's legal. It's crazy. I guess it's not legal everywhere yet, but hopefully it never is. So Chris Christie, he talked about how, they're talking about the crime rate. His question was talking about crime rate and how would Chris Christie solve, the crime that's happening, especially in Los Angeles and other big cities, and that there's homelessness because of this as well, and homelessness is high in crime. And he said that he worked at an attorney, he ran the fifth largest attorney's justice office in the U.S., and how he would put more strict laws on the attorneys in those towns, and that even people, that nobody's above the law. And I guess Biden went to get had a gun that wasn't with a permit, and then he got busted for it, and apparently he got let free and let off of it. Whereas if Chris Christie was in office, he said that Hunter Biden, he would go to jail for 10 years even as president, and that nobody's above the law, and so that they need to that he would crack down on people that are doing crimes. No matter who they are, they need to face the time, which is good, which is it's very good. That needs to happen. It doesn't matter who they are. Bro, what's his name? Vickery, the guy, this young dude, he's so awesome. He is talking about how he would help with the crime, and that there's a kid shooting up a lot in different cities, like with guns and stuff, and he was saying that it's due to mental health, and what was the other thing? I can't remember. Something, and he was mostly talking about mental health, and how that mental health has skyrocketed, and it's not. He's like, the answer is not to drug them up and put them on Zoloft and whatever in mental hospitals. The answer is there's a deeper issue, he said, that's going on with these kids, and there maybe faith-based approaches might help with this. And he's like, we need to get them back to, family, faith, patriotism, and hard work. We need to get them back to understanding what it means to be an American. And I don't know, it's just, he just talks so well, and I'm really starting to like him. But more than that, I just think that he's really gonna do well in the runnings. Like, I just think people are really gonna like him, especially young people. I think young people really, really like him in general. Yeah, like, I've heard podcasts, like, lots of people talking about on podcasts, like, talking about him, and people, like, really like him. I think the younger generation really, really likes him. So, we'll see. So they talked about how Donald Trump would be processed. He's potentially going to go to jail for questioning the elections. It's so funny how the Democratic Party wants to put him in jail for him questioning when Hillary Clinton did the same exact thing. And so it's just funny. And then she didn't get prosecuted like that or even questioned, but then he has to be all questioned and go to court for that. It's just so interesting. It's kind of weird. It's crazy. Okay, so Chris Christie, the mediators asked, would you all stand behind Trump? He's getting prosecuted or whatever. Would you all stand behind him? And, like, Tim Gordon, I don't know, Tim, and then the guy from North Dakota, and the governor of North Dakota, and then Vivek and Nikki Haley all raised their hands immediately. And then there was DeSantis and Mike Pence, and Chris Christie, and then the other guy that's way on the left, I don't even know his name. He's a really old guy. And they were kind of following, and then Chris Christie started talking about how, the way Trump conducts himself is beneath the office of the president. And people didn't really say anything. They were kind of booing and kind of cheering. And then he said, booing is allowed in America, but it doesn't change the truth. And then everybody started booing. So that was kind of interesting. People really don't like that. They don't like when you go against Trump. Like, people do not like when you go against Trump. It's so interesting. And Vivek stood up for him and said he was the best president of the 21st century. And the guys that are watching went crazy. These young guys that are watching, that I'm watching on the show with, and they're just going crazy, so excited on the YouTube video I'm watching, rewatching it. It's just so funny. They love Trump. I don't know. It's funny. Oh my gosh. So Vivek was talking back to Chris Christie and was saying we cannot set a precedent where the presidency in power uses police force to indict their opponents. And it's just so funny. People are just going bonkers because the presidency in power right now, Kamala, all the people, the libs, they want to try to put Trump in his place because they're afraid of him. They try to do anything to get him down, and they'll try anything. Like, they can't just try to win fairly. They have to try to cheat like they did last year or the last time, and then they have to do all these things to try to keep him down, which is so interesting. It's crazy. It really is, that they can't just have their poll and just leave it at that, you know? Yeah, it's interesting. It's sad that they won't just do the whole thing, but do it normally. But one of the mediators asked Tim Scott if Mike Pence did the right thing by Donald Trump asked Mike Pence apparently to suspend the Constitution, basically meaning like put it aside and for whatever Donald Trump wanted to do, and Mike Pence said no, he wouldn't do that, which is and he asked Tim Gordon if he did the right thing, and Tim Gordon said absolutely he did the right thing, and I definitely agree. You should not suspend, you should not put the Constitution aside. The Constitution is the law. This is the ground base, this is the foundation of our country, and this is what we need to stand by, the foundation. And so do not put it aside, do not try to change it, leave it how it is and follow those laws. And I really agree that Tim Gordon said that, and I'm hoping that most, if not all of them, say that Mike Pence did the right thing on January 6th. So Tim Gordon also, I think his name is Tim Gordon, he also said that he wants to stop the weaponization of people, of these law enforcement against like political opponents. So like people are like, police I guess are showing up at activists' homes with their weapons drawn, because like for pro-life activists, they're like coming to their house with their weapons drawn, like threatening them and stuff because of their active, like what they're doing. And so that's not, I mean, he's going to stop that. He's saying that he'll stop that, which is good, because like it's literally in the Constitution, like freedom of speech. People can say what they want to say. Like they have the freedom to say what they want to say. You shouldn't, and also try to do something, try to make a change for what you feel you need to do and is the right thing. I just don't understand why there needs to be guns because of that. So, yeah, that's good. DeSantis is so funny. Like, he was like, this is not what we should be talking about. Democrats want to keep talking about 2021 and everything that happened on January 6th. This whole debate is about January 1st, 2025, and who's going to be president then, and we should be focused on that. And he talked about how he was a Navy SEAL in Iraq. And that's so crazy that he was a Navy SEAL. That's really, really good that he was like on the front line, and he knows what it's like, and he defended our country personally. That's very, very good to have in office. I want to say it again, like clarify. Mike Pence, what happened on January 6th is that Mike Pence, Donald Trump tried to question the election, which honestly I don't really think, maybe I don't understand, but I don't understand why that's like a felony or why he's getting prosecuted for that, because honestly they did cheat, and literally the polls at night were like completely like a landslide for Trump, and then all of a sudden they like win, Biden wins. Like it, I don't know why that's a felony to question the election. Yeah. And how Hillary called him to tell him like that he won, basically say good job or you won or whatever. And how Mike Pence, he wanted to question the election and Mike said no. And I guess that's putting the Constitution aside because he wanted to question the election. I don't understand how questioning the election, because they clearly cheated, like how that is a felony. But I guess you don't want to put the Constitution aside. I said that earlier, and I guess I stand by that. It just is a little weird. Nikki Haley talked about how we don't really want to see a rematch of Biden and Trump, and that's it. I kind of agree. Like, I kind of don't want to see a rematch. I'm sorry. I don't really want to see a rematch, but I do agree that Trump did a really good job as president. So I think Trump definitely will do a better job than Biden. That's for dang sure, or anyone else in the Democratic Party. But I don't know if he's the best candidate of all the other Republicans that are standing up there. So I don't know. It's interesting. Dude, Vivek again. So the question was, would you put more funds? They asked all the politicians, like, which one of you would not support Ukraine? Like, stop funding Ukraine. And Vivek raised his hand immediately, and he was like, you would not support more funding to Ukraine, like defund, like stop that funding. And he said, of course, because we're putting all this funding into Ukraine when there's this alliance with Russia and China, and that's the single greatest threat to us. And then we're putting all this to protect Ukraine when we need to be doing that to our own southern border, which fentanyl is coming across from the Mexican border. And then also we need to protect Maui, we need to protect Hawaii and Chicago, and there's so many things in the United States that we need to protect our own borders. We need to be able to protect our own people first and our borders, and put that same funding back into our own country instead of putting it into other people's. We can do that later, but we need to put that money towards ourselves at this time. And I just think that's really, really good, because that's the main thing that the government is supposed to do, is guard our borders and keep our country safe. It's good. Vivek wants to protect our homeland, and he's making that his single greatest priority, which honestly is the number one thing that the government is supposed to do. Well, one of the number one things. So, yes, they need to stop sending out our military resources to other people, and we need to do it to ourselves, because again, Russia and China are ridiculous. One thing that Nikki Haley said, that America doesn't need Israel, but Israel needs America. It's totally true, but not in the way that she said. She said, like, because Israel is the front line of defense of Iran, which I understand, kind of, but I'm saying that America needs Israel because the Lord, and this is the Lord's chosen people. I mean, yes, we all are now, but like, still, like, we need Israel, and we need to protect Israel at all costs. And so I just thought that was really interesting, because it's a spiritual thing as well, and it's necessary. Just thought it was really interesting. Wanted to put that 2 cents in there. The governor of North Dakota said so many stats and so many amazing things about how we need to protect our own borders, and how so many people are dying. And Tim Gordon said the same thing, that so many people are dying, and so many people are crossing illegally and getting into our country and just stealing, basically. Like, when you come into this country illegally, you're stealing. And so they need to not. He didn't say that, but that's my words. But anyway, so I don't know. I just think they're all right. Like, we need to protect our own borders, and we need to, because a lot of stuff is happening, and the Biden administration has completely failed when it comes to protecting our country in that regard. Dang. So DeSantis was talking about protecting our borders and how he's going to do that in day one to stop the cartel coming through on the southern border. I don't know if he means he's going to finish the wall like Tim Gordon said he wants to finish the wall immediately. But DeSantis talked about how he met a lady named Tracy in Texas, and her son took a Percocet that was laced with fentanyl, and he only took one Percocet, and he died immediately because of the fentanyl. And so he's gonna like protect our borders. So, I mean, that's really good. That's what we need. Man, the first thing that I actually agree with and like that Chris Christie said was that he said there was about the immigrants, that 7 million immigrants have come illegally over the border since Biden has been in office, and what would you do about that? And he said that these people need to be detained. They need to not be rewarded for coming here illegally, that there are people that are following the law, that are waiting to get their visas to come here legally, and they are waiting because they want to pursue this, and they're doing it according to the law. And the people that are doing it illegally, we're trying to like figure out their situation, and so it's the people that are doing it legally keep having to wait because of the situation that these people, the 7 million people that are coming over illegally, have not been dealt with yet. So they need to be detained and then sent back. And that also that China has sent fentanyl, is giving drugs to the cartel, and so that they can make the fentanyl. China's giving Mexicans the chemicals to make the fentanyl, to send it and bring it over to the United States, so that Americans are dying because of it. And so China is issuing an act of war against us, and we need to stop it immediately. And I totally agree. Again, protecting our borders has become like way high up on my list because of all this. So they're talking about education now, and they asked about how to help because our country's in decline when it comes to education. And so they asked DeSantis, and DeSantis said that they never took their kids out of school when it came to COVID. They, like Florida, saw an increase and was good because the kids never left school, whereas all around the country, kids left school, and so that's why there's in a decline. And then he said also that in Florida they eliminated critical race theory and gender studies, and so I think that's really, really good because we do not need to be doing those type of things in school. That's not for the schools to be teaching. And then he said we elevated civic, and I don't know what they said, but basically like about learning about what it means to do the Constitution. And my husband and I talked about it when we watched this live, about how I wish they would have taught more about the Constitution and like the tests that that immigrants take when they come to this country. Like they have to know all about the U.S. He met people and they knew more about our country than he did because they don't always teach that in school. And I think they need to teach all those things that you have to pass the test about, the same test that the immigrants take when they come to our country, that to graduate school you need to know that information as well, because you're becoming a citizen of the United States outside of your parents' home, so you need to know what it means to be an American. You need to know the history, and you need to know all the things that immigrants come into and memorize. So, yeah. Oh man, Nikki Haley just like laid it down. There's so many things. I'm kind of getting tired, so I don't know if I'm going to talk about all the issues anymore. I'm kind of getting done. She talked about biological boys should not be in the locker room. She talked about putting vocational classes back in the classroom, which I think is amazing. Teach kids to build. Teach kids how to do like practical things. I feel like so many kids these days don't know how to build a house or build do electrical work in the house, put that in the school so they know how to do it, so that everybody knows how to do it and they can take care of themselves and not have to always pay everyone else, that they have the option. If they want to pay someone else, they can, but they can learn how to do it themselves. But then what else did she talk about? Oh man, she talked about so many good things. Oh, she did really good. I think I'm getting tired. I think I'm just gonna end it here. There's still there's only 17 minutes left. I just want to finish it, but I think I'm done for tonight. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it makes you think. I don't know what I'm hoping. I just wanted to share this and talk about it a little bit. I got excited and it was fun. It was definitely fun. And thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. It was my pleasure. Please subscribe and leave a review. It means so much. And share this with a friend. Thanks for listening. Love you. Bye-bye.